Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our latest webinar. Today we have WZC Networking. They will be presenting a case study based on redesigning Wi-Fi networks for large convention center at 50% faster using iBwave Wi-Fi. Our guest speakers today are Matt Wierzgac, Engineering Manager of WZC, and Deborah Mercier, Sales Director of WZC. I'll just go over now with a few housekeeping items. First off, you will receive a video recording of the webinar by email within the next few days. So look out for that in your inboxes. Also during the webinar, if you have any questions, please feel free to type them into the GoToWebinar questions box, and we will get back to you towards the end of the webinar, where we will take some time to answer those questions. And now I will pass it on to my colleague Kelly, who will introduce you to iBwave.
Great. Thanks, Amna, and hello to everyone, and welcome to the webinar. So for those who are not familiar with us here at iBwave, iBwave has been the wireless industry now for just over 14 years, and we've been the global leader of software solutions to plan and design indoor wireless networks. We've established ourselves as that standard for in-building network design, and we're currently used by over 1,000 Tier 1 operators, OEMs, system integrators, and enterprises all over the world. Just to give you a brief history of how we started back in 2003. The company was founded with software to automate the planning and design of indoor DAS systems, and quickly grew to become the standard software used by operators to deploy indoor networks. Since that time in 2003, we've continued to innovate, adding new technologies like Wi-Fi and small cells along the way. And then in 2015, we launched a product just for Wi-Fi planning and design called iBwave Wi-Fi, which is what WZC Networking used to raise the convention center project that you're going to hear about today. And just to tell you a little bit about that solution, the solution consists of a powerful PC software that you can use for Wi-Fi site surveys, planning, and design of your indoor networks. It consists of a cloud-connected mobile app that acts as a companion to that PC software that you can use to easily do site surveys, take measurements, capture all of your pictures and documentation to push pins on the floor plan. You can even do simple designs and run your heat maps right there on site with your tablet using the mobile app. And then a cloud that sits in between them so that you could easily share and access project files with your project team members, so that essentially anything you do on the mobile app in the field can be easily shared with somebody back at the office, and they can pick it up in the PC software. So now that you know a little bit about iBwave and the solution at the center of today's case study, I'm going to hand it over to WZC, to Deborah and Matt. So Deborah?
All right. Well, thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Amna. Thank you, everyone, for joining this afternoon to hear a little bit more about some ways to give you guys the competitive edge in the industry. We're going to be touching on some great details, and we look forward to it. So thank you again, iBwave, for the opportunity for us to share our iBwave experience in the convention center space. Before we dig in, I'd like to introduce myself for those of you who don't know me on the line or haven't had a personal phone call from me in the last couple of months. Oh, my goodness. I love this industry, and for those of you who know me, know I've been in it a while. So 20-plus years experience in sales, account management, and leadership roles in telecom and the IT industry. Had the opportunity to work with amazing people in the U.S. and globally. Telecom is thriving, and I'm excited to be part of it. I've been excited to be in it, live in it. It's just such an exciting time for our company as well as everyone on the line today. We're in a very, very great space. I love to partner with leaders. I like to take care of my customers. For those of you who know me, know that that is a #1. And I thrive on meeting new people and building relationships that last. Great to meet everyone on the line, and we look forward to presenting for you. Matt, can you introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Matt. I'm the Engineering Manager for WZC Networking. I have over 15 years of experience in the RF design, installation, configuration, and troubleshooting with several different platforms across many different verticals. I have had the opportunity and blessing to be involved with several different RF network implementations, ranging from simple and small deployments for small businesses to very large and complex deployments for venues and convention centers, stadiums, educational centers, and universities, K-12, healthcare and hospitals, as well as other industrial areas. Again, great to meet everyone on the line, and thank you for joining us.
All right. Thanks, Matt. Well, let's kick it off. Just a quick overview on WZC Networking. We're a professional services company out of Michigan. Our expertise is in RF engineering, RF everything. We offer deployment services, design optimization, integration, and maintenance and services for our customers in the Midwest in the United States. You know, it's about making a difference, and this is why I'm part of this team. And I'll tell you, when I came aboard, I felt it. I knew it was a good fit. And for those of you who are working with me today and hopefully working with me in the future, it's a great industry. We deliver great services for our customers, and it's just a great time to be in this industry and hopefully for many years to come. And overall, today's overview is going to be a lot about how iBwave helped us standardize on a solution that will make us get to that next level in the industry. Real quick, I wanted to just put a snapshot up. I know it's kind of the normal salesy slide flow, but it's a snapshot of, you know, a proud list of direct customers that we work with. We also maintain an ecosystem of top companies in the country for alternative ways to go to market, alternative ways to open doors and work with strategic partners. Very exciting. And I was saying earlier today, we had an earlier webinar with the rest of the world, is talking about really getting your feet wet, getting the experience in many different verticals is going to help you every day you walk in to talk to a new prospect, or every day you go in to talk to your customers about upgrades. What's the next step to keep their technology advanced for their customers? So here's another quick look at how WZC rolls out their solutions and software systems to support our customers and prospects. You know, it's important to have the expertise to leverage the large OEM community. It's always changing. So those of you who are on the line know that you need to stay advanced in each one of these OEMs because they're moving as fast as we are in the industry on delivering great solutions. As well on the software side, tools, tools, tools. We're excited that iBwave got into the mix on the Wi-Fi side this last year. We needed them. We had way too many different tools to take in the field, and we've standardized on iBwave, and we are phasing out the other folks that are on board because we need one tool to train our folks on and to have them in the field with. The collaboration is so much more simple for us. All right, well, let's dig into the case studies around the convention center spaces out there. I giggle when I see that 50% because Matt and I, we've been talking over the last couple of weeks getting ready for this case study presentation today. And 50%, you know, we think that actually could be more. But we're going to say 50% and we're going to run with it. And you tell us in the future when you bring iBwave on or when you use iBwave in the field. But from the manual way that we used to do walks and designs, I'll tell you, iBwave tools really have delivered for us. So you know, when iBwave approached us to do a case study a couple months ago, recently they said, would you like to do a webinar and really get your voice out into the community to help folks take a look at these type of tricky venues and hospitality venues? And of course we said absolutely. So we appreciate the opportunity and we look forward to speaking about a lot of things that hopefully help you in your business. All right, so convention centers, right? Upgrades. I think it should say always upgrading because basically technology is moving so fast today that we have to keep up with it. We do. The folks on the line today, if you are an enterprise direct person today on the line or an integrator or an engineer or any one of the above, I tell you it's moving as fast as a fast Amtrak train down the path. Right now, I mean from Vegas to Nashville, San Diego to Orlando, those of you who have been out to convention centers, they're little cities. Right now as we speak, there's at least a dozen major convention center projects currently underway. Technology has become so critical component to be the best in class and to keep your customers happy and have them come back for more. It's just really made them competitive. So we're going to talk about today, you know, different type of convention centers that we've worked with, you know, the challenges, KPIs, you name it. We are going to talk about it. That's going to help you position yourself in the industry in front of your customers and in front of prospects to hopefully grow your business. All right, so let's dig into a typical convention center scenario. You know, wireless infrastructure upgrades ongoing. So, you know, one side of the place may have XYZ and the other could have ABC, but it's gotta keep moving. So if you've got yourself some hospitality customers out there as well as convention center customers, you know what I mean. So these are not small facilities. These could be from 1 million square foot facilities to 10 million. Multiple different things that you have to take into consideration when you are walking and designing for your customers, from theaters to parking areas to hallways, coffee shops, you name it. If you've been to Vegas, you really know what I'm talking about. So at the end of the day, it's all about listening to your customers and walking with them and understanding where they are headed. And it's an ever-changing landscape. All right, well, let's dig into the challenge of what we've seen in the field. How we're going to address this webinar today is I'm going to actually interview Matt, my engineering manager, who's been on a lot of sites in these different industry walks, and I wanted to just dig into this with just talking about the challenge that I've extracted from Matt from my interviewing with him in the last couple weeks. So obviously, we already talked about technology demand, huge. Capacity, wow. I mean, where do we start? How big these facilities are. That customer experience, you know, having the customer be able to connect easily, we expect it and we demand it. Location-based services has really picked up for many different reasons that Matt will dig into. These older venues, as well as constant renovations to remain competitive. And obviously we're going to talk about the structural requirements and challenges within these venues. So Matt, from your experience in the field, what are you hearing from our customers?
Some of the major topics or discussion points I've come across in the field are location-based services, or LBS. And what is its driving factor? Well, RFID tracking for assets or products. In addition to that is point-of-sale devices for mobile sales. Also, employee inventory tracking scanners, public safety, E911, and tablets. In location-ready designs, it is important to make sure that the access points are not solely clustered inside and toward the center of the floor like we typically do designs, but also having dedicated access points on the perimeter to provide the necessary coverage needed for triangulation to work efficiently. A good location-ready deployment not only determines the client existence, but also the location of the client with reasonable accuracy. In addition to the key is to deliver a design that is reliable for location-based services and presence data that can be used by your marketing departments and for asset control. Another topic I've came across, especially at venues such as this one in this case study, is meeting capacity demand. Planning for the increased amount of users. As we all know and heard earlier in this presentation, the wireless industry over the last several years has greatly increased, and the amount of devices people are using that depends on these services have increased tenfold. It is not just about providing coverage anymore, but also about planning for capacity and estimating the amount of devices being deployed or connecting to the infrastructure. Devices can range from your cell phone, tablets, laptops, even your watches. Nowadays, people are carrying in 3 to 4 devices per user on average. Properly designing these areas where these users gather is very important for the best end user experience. Also taking into consideration available bandwidth. Available bandwidth is delivered on a per radio cell, and the total number of users on that cell and their connection characteristics such as SNR, signal strength, the frequency band users connecting to, duty cycle, and speed all play a significant role on available bandwidth per cell. When planning and deploying high-density WLANs, access points are typically placed in areas where they gather, such as conference rooms, exhibits, auditoriums, meeting rooms, etc., while less common and less dense areas have less common or less amount of access points. These higher dense areas are placed in clusters, and it's best to design for the maximum capacity for these areas. However, it is very difficult to plan for an exact amount of users or devices given this growing trend. So it's not really uncommon to, and it is best practice to design for 10% to 15% or even more in certain environments above the estimated amount to allow for a level of growth.
All right. Well, thanks, Matt. So I'm going to summarize a little bit what I heard. Location-based services, it's really a #1 driving factor that you've seen a lot in regards to RFID, point of sale, inventory tracking, emergency public service, E911, you name it, very important. Coverage requirements, sit with your customers, learn about this venue. They're not all the same. They're not all the same size, and you need to really, really learn what your customer is looking for and about past trends and requirements around the type of capacity demand that they're going to have throughout the year based on possible, already knowing what conventions are coming into their facility and so on. So user density as well is very important to make sure that that experience with the end user is dynamite. And you mentioned as well, let me take a look here, is best practices designed for 10% to 15% above the estimated amount to allow for that level of growth. So it's pretty exciting. I mean, like today for this webinar, 500 people sign up. Who knows? 500 could show up or 300. It's exciting, So you got to be ready. And you know what? We're ready. We're ready on this call. I know we are. All right. So we're going to talk about some KPIs that you should think about really every time you go out to see your customer or prospect. But in the case of conference centers, this hopefully will help you out in understanding what's driving the business factors. They may sound like, oh, that sounds like what they should be looking at, but it's different at every venue. But here's the ones that we pulled out of some of the recent convention centers that we've been out at. So obviously, best in class, in hospitality in general, best in class is a driving factor to be able to have people come in, love it, and come back. So always improving that customer user experience. The competitive advantage. Should I go to this convention center or that convention center? And it's very competitive. I'm out of the Chicago market, and I'll tell you, McCormick Place is always beating everybody up to try and get everyone to come in. And it's tough. It's really tough. The other locations around the country have really gotten competitive, so good for them. Location-based services, as we talked about, Wi-Fi pay services, and just really supporting the masses. So again, I'm gonna talk with Matt a little bit about what he's seen in the field for KPIs and some of the main ones that jump out at you. All of these are very important. Again, hold very detailed discovery meetings with your customer before you walk anything. It's about understanding what they need. And Matt, if you could easily, tell us just a couple of these that really jump out at you. Obviously you don't have to go through all of them, but give me, 2 or 3 that really made an impact on your conference center walks.
Sure. Well, as everyone knows, KPIs are very important, and it plays a really key factor that drives the design. Here are a few of what it jumps out on me. Is one, user experience. That's the biggest driving factor. The better the user experience will most likely yield return business and people. Continuous, sustained, and uninterrupted coverage for the end user. As everyone knows, it can go from a great experience to a very negative experience very quickly if the design has flaws and is causing unwanted behavior to the end user's connection. For the customer or convention center, having an efficient triangulation system or location-based services so they can have the ability to track their assets at all times. And lastly, the most important, I'd say, is the SNIR and interference metrics such as duty cycle, swept spectrogram, and other interference data. Using iBwave, it gave me the ability to identify these RF signal sources that exist at the complex well before deployment of the network. Again, iBwave takes all what I just said into consideration in the software suite, and this is why we as a company standardized with iBwave.
All right. Well, thank you, Matt. So, as you heard from Matt, who's been out on site at a couple of these conference centers that we're deploying, and those of you on the line today have done the same, user experience. I mean, we all know that that's got to be the #1. Obviously speeds. I want to get a good connection. I've got things to do, people to talk to, and videos to watch or videos to take. Also, making sure that there's no interrupted coverage, because that could really get someone not happy at that venue and maybe not even coming back. We talked about the location-based services and then the technology metrics around SNIR and duty cycling is very important as well. Also, Matt, on the screen here we have some technical KPIs for wall-to-wall coverage. Can you talk real quickly that, I mean, are these the averages you're seeing in the industry for these venues?
Yes. So this is kind of like a baseline. So you really want to have, for triangulation or location-based services to work efficiently, you really need to have your access points see each other at, or at least two of its neighbors at neg 65 and have an SNR between the neg 15 to 20. Luckily for this venue, we got it to keep it at neg 20 dBm.
And the iBwave mobile app, Wi-Fi app, when you were in the field, helped you achieve that in a different magnitude than with the other tools that we used to use, correct?
Yes.
All right. Well, very good. Well, let's dig into a floor plan. Let's actually take a look at the challenge out there and take a look at what you need to do to walk these venues and deliver a great solution. So again, you know, Matt, I'll tell you, I'm really excited that you were able to join, and I appreciate all the effort and time you've put into this webinar. So basically, if you could just give us a little bit more information about this scenario, and hopefully the folks on the line are going to get a lot out of this, and how using iBwave really helped you save on time and errors and even real-time collaboration with our team back at headquarters.
Sure. Well, this floor plan illustrates many different areas. You see the showroom, you see the food court, red top, blue top. These are all areas of greater density, which I'll explain later, but it brought several different challenges to us on site. Here's how iBwave shortened my design turnaround time and saving on errors. First off is preparation time. Using the iBwave Wi-Fi on my desktop, I was able to prepare the project by importing all my floor plans and scaling it accordingly. I then uploaded the project to my iBwave cloud, which then I downloaded it to my Android tablet that has the iBwave Wi-Fi mobile installed on it. Using that program, I was able to specify the greater areas of density. Using iBwave, it gave us the ability to plan and scale these areas efficiently. There is a feature inside iBwave to highlight greater density areas like I showed you here with show area, food court, of greater density, which will use this data to determine proper placement and quantities of these access points to better service these areas. Annotations and pictures. I can't stress this enough. This is going to be your best friend in this tool. The ability to take notes, to take pictures, to take even audio and video during your site walks is very key. You can do that with this tool. So when I do it, I usually gather as much information as I possibly can, taking tons of pictures that can be then used in your final report. Collaboration, cloud sharing, iBwave Cloud. This is a huge time saver. It's a single area to gather all your survey data together rather than wasting time having to pull data from many different programs. And competitive bids. We all know that it's a competitive world out there. So how did this tool give me the edge? Well, saving time. I was able to deliver a bill of materials and costs faster to the customer than in the past. The turnaround is in hours versus in the past days.
All right. So using the iBwave tool really gave you the edge and gave you all the information in one place, even the ability to collaborate back with your design folks, right?
Absolutely.
All right. So what did I hear? I heard preparation time, making that more streamlined and being ready for the walk, ready to be face-to-face with your customer asking questions instead of trying to figure out how to get a floor plan on your laptop. You know, areas of greater density and data requirements. You know, obviously, iBwave gave you the edge on that as well. Annotation and pictures, that's something I actually as a salesperson use out in the field, which I enjoy fully. I actually take the opportunity to go in the field and sometimes just say, where's your important priority parts? And I love it. I have a great time with that tool. And then collaboration, we already know that is just key. Having that cloud and the ability to collaborate with your partners, with your headquarters, even with the customer. And then being competitive. You know, today I bet you 100 of my competitors are on the line, but you know what? I want you to be great because it's our job in this industry to be great for our customers. So overall, bring it on. Let's get out there and may the best woman or man win. All right. Well, very good. You know, I was talking to Matt the other day, and I said, okay, if you want to put these heat maps in this webinar, I'm going to ask you, why is iBwave different? Because it looks like a heat map from anywhere. And Matt's like, well, I'm going to tell you why it's different. And I go, no, we're going to tell everyone on the line why it's different, as well as, you know, it's just exciting that you can have a tool that is always evolving like iBwave. It's not a stagnant tool. It's an ever-changing tool. They do upgrades every 3 to 4 months. They are giving you new tools within your iBwave tool ongoing. I mean, that's exciting, and that's what you expect when you're making an investment in a tool. So Matt, you know, tell me more about this heat map and how it gave you the edge in this situation where I know we won the bid.
Well, this is a typical heat map that illustrates, you know, the best placements of access points for both the 2.4 gigahertz and the 5 gigahertz frequencies, given the attenuation walls, throughput, and client capacity requirements. iBwave Wi-Fi takes all these into consideration when putting together the design. If there's any areas that doesn't meet the requirements, it triggers a warning or error alert notifying you of this so you can adjust accordingly. This heat map also gives you a clear delineation of the different signal strengths throughout the building. The purple or magenta areas that you see are greatest signal strength, while the red areas are excellent coverage still, while yellow are still areas of good coverage. Anything in the green, blue, and black represent areas above the next 65 dBm threshold. The legend that's used in iBwave clearly illustrates the different signal strengths, and it does it very well. As you can see, there are no areas on this heat map that have green, blue, or black. In addition, the accuracy of the heat maps, they are real life. These colors are very true to coverage and much, much, much clearer than anything else in the market. By far, this tool is the best I've ever used.
You know what I like as well is when we're out in the field, Matt, I do a lot of site surveys with my guys, and we get out in the field and we're able to actually collaborate with the customer on the site when they're saying, well, this area is going to be renovated, so let's take a look at a different scenario. Or over here we're getting new windows, or we're putting mirrors up, or we've got sliding walls that are going to be going in. You can make changes on the fly as well, and that's really exciting. So again, I mean, this heat map, you may be looking at it saying, well, I'm used to the other tools that I use today. Well, iBwave has great training for anyone on the line that hasn't gone through it yet. You should get your guys and gals into the training. They will take care of you. But at the end of the day, I mean, I'm a sales professional. Yes, a little technology savvy, but I can use these systems. I've walked venues. I've held the tablet. I've actually understood how to do it to a certain point, right? And then I bring in my guys, my engineering guys. But I tell you, at the end of the day, it's a really, really great sales tool and obviously a design tool as well. So thank you, Matt. All right. We're doing great on time for those of you on the line. All right, so just a couple snapshots of some pictures I wanted to share. Again, just showing you that every venue has just different walls, different windows, and just a different approach to who's going to be in that room. That picture on the bottom, yes, a little blurry, but I'll tell you, look at all those chairs. That's a lot of people if each one of them has a tablet and a cell phone and a watch. So it's just amazing. If you've done a hospitality venue or a convention center, pat yourself on the back, because I tell you, it's a really, really big deal to roll out these amazing networks, and so the industry loves you. All right, so very good. I'm going to ask Matt a couple questions real quick. We're going to fly through this because I know that Kelly touched on it, and we've been touching on it throughout. But we wanted you to know that this tool we've standardized on, we've gotten our teams trained, and we really enjoy it in the field. It has really given us the edge. We hope it gives you the edge as well. But really, in the end, delivering great solutions for all of our customers. So Matt, you know, before the site survey, you mentioned that the preparation really helped you hit the ground running when you got to the convention center. Is there anything else you want to add about before the site survey?
Well, I mean, if you have an AutoCAD, it gives you the ability to further drive down on attenuations by selecting each layer and selecting what type of wall it is. So preparation is very easy, very, very quick.
Okay, and then after the site survey, well, now let's go over on the site survey. So on site at the venue, when you're on the site at the venue, there's a lot that you could do now that you probably couldn't do in the past. You talked about the annotations and the pictures. You talked about actually running, auto access point delivery, predictions, bill of materials, generating all these different things right on the site, collaborating. What else that we might have missed today that we can help the folks on the line to learn about?
Well, it gives you the ability to do not only passive and active site surveys, but in addition, taking as much pictures or adding details to the design so you can deliver a top-notch network diagrams or equipment list to the customer. It's very seamless and it saves a lot of time. In the past, you had to bring in paper and write all your notes manually. With this tool, it gives you the ability to use just your tablet, so you're not bringing a lot of tools on site to do your design.
Very good, very good. And after the site survey, the one thing that I always hear from you, Matt, and other folks at our company and really out in the industry as well is just the ability that all the key components of the entire design is in iBwave. Cabling, the components, brackets, racks, switches, connectors, you name it. And it's all in one tool, as well as the opportunity on the last webinar was brought up as a question, bringing cellular into the realm as well. And from the other tools that you've used in the past, this is really a big game changer for us. Right, Matt?
Yes, absolutely. This all-in-one tool saves a lot of time, saves a lot of headaches, and it's easy, it costs less.
Very good, very good. And then the ease of maybe doing some comparisons as well. That came up in the last webinar. Just, are you able to compare different OEMs? Absolutely. Actually, what a great opportunity to go in with two different options and see which one the customer is interested in. All right. Well, as a sales professional, I'm excited about timelines, efficiency, and accuracy. So iBwave is our standard tool. With everyone on the same system, the process is smooth and accurate. And we could really discuss amongst ourselves in regards to the design, the type of proposal that's generated. Let's just say iBwave's thought of it all. So those of you who are users on the phone, you know what I mean. For those of you who are considering it, please take a look. And Matt, what can you take us through as change the process from the way it used to be to how it is today? You mentioned you used to have the big convention table, in the convention center, and you would be laying out floor plans and pictures and notes and how to put it all together. Now it's all in the same tool. Can you take us through a couple different scenarios of that?
Yeah, you basically described it perfectly right there. Is I can take my tool with one tool, with my laptop or in my tablet, and import all my floor plans, do my design, and then import it back to my laptop and deliver top-notch network diagrams, layout plans detailing cable routing, and survey data that includes heat maps. Once the survey is completed with iBwave Wi-Fi mobile and saved to the cloud, I can then produce customizable reports that includes equipment lists, all the annotations, pictures, video, audio that I've taken, the access point list and survey data, propagation reports. I can all deliver that to the customer within hours versus days. In addition to that, this piece of software, and all iBwave too, can give you a visualization of your projects in full 3D, leveraging existing or customizable materials. But also lastly, you can share your iBwave files to customers that they can view with the iBwave viewer that you can download free from the iBwave website.
Very good, very good. So yeah, the 3D floor plans, right? Having the opportunity to sit your customer down and say, I'm going to show you the proposal, but I'm also going to show you what we're going to do in the 3D. Okay, there's a hint for you. Yeah, that really works. So yeah, it's really exciting. It's top-notch. It's exciting to see your building and everything that you're going to deploy within it right in front of you, and you're able to walk your customer through it. So pretty exciting. And these are some of the snapshots. I like this slide just because it shows you some of the great things that iBwave has done for us and hopefully are doing for you. All right, I gotta throw the sales slide in there. Sales slide. So why we chose iBwave? They've got a great team. They've been doing this. They are the leaders. They are the leaders in design software tools. They've been there, done that. They're the standard in the cellular industry, and I'm waiting very soon. They're taking them on by storm for the Wi-Fi, because at the end of the day, to have multiple applications or multiple software systems, it really is costly for a company, even obviously for smaller companies as well, to have too many people using too many different tools. I like that we've standard. I love that I could talk to my guys and they know what I'm talking about from a business development perspective. Mac can talk to his guys about upgrades and everyone's on the same page. And what I like, again, as the director of sales, is that my team is continually getting the edge out there because iBwave is looking after us with these revisions and their training, which is outstanding. And the people are great over there. Again, just summarizing today's webinars, I mean, just going in and doing a great job for your customer, more access points, fewer access points, whatever it takes, your systems can give you the most accurate design needed for your customer. We say 50% savings from using iBwave. I really do think, again, it's more than that. And really meeting your customers' KPIs on a technical side and on a business side. There's a whole bunch of steps prior to even getting to walk in that venue. You have to understand that industry and listen to that customer. Take a look at this. Whew. All right, who wired this one up? I want to know. So anyways, just a peek. All right, look at us, Amna. We are rocking today.
Thank you, Deborah, and thank you, Matt. So let's get to some questions.
Awesome.
First one I have is, what is a reasonable SINR target for a very dense Wi-Fi network?
I'll answer this, Deborah. So in a typical location-based services or even high-density networks, you try to keep it between a neg 15 dB and neg 20 dB. You want to keep it really between those. This allows the clients to overcome any co-channel interference, since it's going to be a higher deployment. It's going to see a lot of its neighbors on the same channel fairly close to each other. So you want to try keeping it still, though, at neg 15 dB to neg 20. Luckily, in this convention center, we were able to universally keep it at neg 20.
Great, thanks.
Thank you, Matt. So just a note to the audience, if you have questions, you can still type them in the questions box, and we will pick a few from that. So here's one question. How do you accurately measure SINR?
I can answer that too. So to actually judge your SNIR is basically you take your signal strength and you compare that to a neg 90 or neg 95 SNR base, and that will give you what your SNIR is.
And how does iBwave help you with that, Matt?
Well, using the active site survey tool, it gives me that the current signal strength and the noise floor. There's tools inside the iBwave mobile when you're doing your active and passive surveys that it gives you real-time data as you're performing your surveys.
Perfect, thanks.
Thank you. So here's another question. How do you channel plan for a venue you showed with many APs? Do you cluster them?
The answer is yes. So iBwave has a great metrics to plan out your channels based on the type of radio, the type of access point, how close it is, based off your active and passive surveys. There's also a auto channel plans that also can accurately give you a great channel plan for those areas based on those requirements.
Thank you, Matt. So here's another question. So this question says, last year when I was teaching a Wi-Fi class at IWCE in Las Vegas Convention Center, I scanned and found over 80 APs on each 2.4 gigahertz channel. How does iBwave and WZC deal with interference from so many APs?
Go get them, Matt.
So that's a good question. The answer to that is, it's with iBwave, again, doing our site survey, we determined, like what the guy said, we would accurately locate those 80 access points on our list and see if there's any modifications we can do on the access point. But during our design, we put our capacity requirements, and iBwave gives us their recommendations for power and channel that can, utilize as much channels and not the same channels.
Thank you. So here's another question. Wi-Fi equipment selection contrasted by manufacturers to achieve desired KPIs. Is a matrix available?
Hey, Amna, that's the second time today. Woohoo! I think that's maybe a little different from this morning's webinar. Have you seen that out there, Matt? Gosh, I want to get my hands on that too.
I mean, we can use iBwave to compare the different OEMs and the different manufacturers, but there's really, inside the iBwave tool for each access point, it'll give you a coverage pattern for each vendor. So you can go into the properties of each access point, whether it's Cisco, Meraki, Aerohive, Aruba, whatever vendor you're putting on there, and it'll show you coverage patterns, typical coverage patterns for that access point.
Hey, Amna, that sounds like a really good white paper for your product guys.
That's a good idea. So let's go to another one. How do you design with Wi-Fi and LTE in the same radio?
Well, you can't really do that with iBwave Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi tool only does with Wi-Fi. If you wanted to do both Wi-Fi and LTE, you have to use iBwave design with Note and mobile. Not to say that the enterprise or design can't integrate with Wi-Fi mobile, because it can. You can still upload your floor plans and prepare your files through design and still be able to download it with the Wi-Fi mobile. But if you're trying to do both Wi-Fi and LTE, you have to use iBwave's Note or mobile planner.
Since WZC is a Wi-Fi and cellular in-building company, how we do it at WZC is we'll have the Wi-Fi mobiles out in the field for our Wi-Fi folks. They'll bring it back, it'll be up to the cloud and back down to the designer in our design enterprise, and at that point you can upload that walk with just the Wi-Fi content and then start to work in your design enterprise or mobile node or mobile planner, the other solutions that bring cellular into the realm, and you could then design from there. So if we're going out on a cell and a Wi-Fi walk, we'll send them out with the mobile node or the mobile planner, which is the HetNet solution from iBwave. So we've got all the tools in our arsenal.
And if I might add, the process of doing that is very similar to Wi-Fi. Once you have that tool to plan and to design is very, very similar, not the same.
Very good.
Thank you. Let's take another one. What was the setup time for the model/building?
Very, very, very quick. So once the longest part is trying to get all the information from the customer. Your floor plans, your data or coverage requirements. Your talks with the customer. But once you have your floor plans and data that you need to set up this project, it's very easy. Once you set your walls on with your AutoCAD in iBwave and you set your scale, your prints, then you basically upload it to the cloud and download it to the mobile app, and you're good to go to do your on-site data gathering.
And I tell you, it's pretty exciting from a business development approach when I'm in the field to know that Matt's got the design ready to go on his tablet. He's already scoping things out when I'm still trying to find out, talk about the weather or doing whatever I'm doing on a sales side, right? He's already gone down a hall, left, right, and around the corner, and he's already backed us with a list of questions about what's going on in the venue. So I tell you, it really gives you an edge when you're out there in the field to have tools, for your techs. So.
Thanks, Deborah.
Sure.
So another question. How did you use iBwave to combat CCI in a 2.4 gigahertz high-density deployment?
Well, utilizing iBwave's auto access point planner based on the client coverage, you can specify what APs are going to turn off their 2.4 radio. In the tool itself, you can have iBwave determine which APs are going to turn off its 2.4 gigahertz radio, so it doesn't interfere. It can lessen the CCI throughout the whole building.
Okay, let's do one last question. Thank you, Matt. So the last question is, how do you validate the performance of an installed network to see how it compares to the design?
Well, that's where it comes into the prediction versus measured access points. So doing your passive and active surveys is going to really determine your true signal strength after post deployments. So you'll come in there with your planner. You still use the same project, but then you do your active and passive walkthroughs to gather all that data, and you can compare. There's a reporting tool in iBwave that you can compare your prediction metrics versus what was measured as a post-validation tool.
Yeah, that's important, right? To see what's there today, how it's doing, and then where we want to go with the next upgrade or the new OEM equipment, whatever might be going in there. So that's huge. That's huge because we all know everybody's upgrading these days, and it's good to have a starting point.
Awesome. So let's end on this question. And I would just like to remind everyone that we will share the recording of this presentation within the next few days. And if you have additional questions, please feel free to reach out to us. And I would like to thank everyone for attending. And thank you, Deborah and Matt, for the great presentation. And I wish everyone a good afternoon. Thank you.
Our pleasure. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.